Hey guys, this is Kris Jones for episode 24 of Ask Me Anything. Today is going to kick off a multi-part series. I'm just trying to be creative and think of ways of keeping you guys engaged. I also know that a number of you that are probably watching right now are new viewers. Thank you for spending some time with me. One of the other reasons I wanted to launch a series was that my hope is to give you guys smaller chunks of information. A lot of the learning that I've done over the years and a lot of the improvement that I've made as an entrepreneur, just to be completely honest with you, has come from taking notes. You know, jotting down simple ideas, thinking about, little things little tips that I could incorporate into my life personally and professionally right now to make a difference. So I'm going to play around here a little bit. So basically the genesis of this series is going to focus on providing you with those types of tips to grow your business, to maximize your profits, and importantly, to find passion. So that when you wake up in the morning on a daily basis, you're just infused with energy and you're basically a force for no matter what you dedicate your time and your energy towards. So let's go ahead and kick it off. The first part of this series is going to focus on growth. But let's start with a reality. And I've talked about this in previous AMAs. Most businesses fail. Most entrepreneurs fail. Despite approaching it with the most enthusiasm you may have ever had in your life, the most determination, the most confidence that your idea was going to materialize into something that was going to not only make you a lot of money, but certainly meet an audience with as much enthusiasm as you've had. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen. A lot of different studies out there, but for the purpose of these next couple episodes, let's just assume that about 90% of small businesses or entrepreneurs fail within the first 5 to 10 years. That is a startling percentage. So we're not going to focus on it. We're going to focus on the 10% that actually succeed, because the recipe, the blueprint of my personal success comes from the 10%. Pay respect, acknowledge why certain entrepreneurs and businesses have failed, but I don't like to spend much of my time there. I like to focus on why successful entrepreneurs succeed. And understanding why the 90% fail and the 10% succeed is the ultimate key to business success. You've heard that. That's one of the things you jot down. Understanding why the 90% fail and the 10% succeed is the ultimate key to business success. You don't need to be curious about why successful entrepreneurs succeed. You just identify it and replicate it. Listen, this is just another video on how to do it. There's no shortage of information out there trying to help you guys, but I'm going to do my best. And I have a proven track record of executing, which, by the way, is where you have to focus your energy. In this day and age, there is no shortage of ideas. In fact, if you will, reflect with me for a second. Don't we all have friends who are just idea machines? They've got an idea for everything, and they've never accomplished anything, or they haven't accomplished much, or they certainly have never went in head first like we have as entrepreneurs to actually take an idea and bring it to action. I'd argue if there is one reality of the 10%, it's that these folks are not idea people, they're executors. They're able to take an idea, and it doesn't even need to be anything remarkable, and turn it into a business that lasts and succeeds. Here are a couple of things I've learned by being one of those executors. Number one, you need to fall in love with the financial aspects of your business. I've said this in the past, so for those of you that don't believe me, go back into some of my past videos where I bring up the importance of not only becoming confident, but learning the difference between financial reporting and financial analysis when it comes to things like profit and loss statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements. Again, jot those down: balance sheets, profit and loss statements, and cash flow statements. The difference between reporting and analysis is that the 90%, some of them, but the furthest they ever get is to the reporting side. It's when someone puts the financial reports in front of you and you look at them and you think about how you performed in the past. You don't take that extra step, which is looking at the cash flow statements and trying to predict how much cash you'll have on hand 90 days from now, 180 days from now. Looking at the profit loss statement and looking for trends, both in month over month, year over year, and starting to project and predict where you might be in the future based on how you've performed in the past and how you're performing right now. And the balance sheet, critical. Can't tell you how many times friends of mine and others that I've coached or mentored or have had the opportunity just to engage in conversation, where the conversation will start with, I am underwater with debt. And I'll say, oh, interesting. What is the structure of your debt? Oh, I don't know. It's all over the place. A lot of it's credit card. Credit card! Last time I checked, credit card interest rates are probably between 15% and like 30%, which means you'll never really touch your principal. You'll just be paying interest. I've heard things like, well, you know, I was in a tough spot and I took a 12% interest rate on my lease for my office space. It's horrible. That's darn near subprime. It's horrible. So anyway, the balance sheet tells you how healthy your debt is. I'm not a lover of debt, but I know smart people who are. What I mean by that is debt doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. If you're able to leverage debt to grow your business, debt's a good thing. If you're able to leverage low interest debt to use that capital to collateralize and or invest in something with a higher return, debt isn't a bad thing. But again, falling in love with numbers. You guys know me that have watched these videos to know that I'm going to bring this up again in future videos. It's not okay just to look at numbers and think you're doing okay. You need to make predictions. You need to be able to analyze and predict. Another one of those things around execution is that you can't do it yourself. This is one of the hardest lessons for solopreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, which is I've got to do everything. Honestly, based on my experience and based on all of my success, I wouldn't be nowhere near. I wouldn't have accomplished anywhere near what I've accomplished without the people around me. So hiring smart people who have skill sets that complement yours is a game changer when it comes to executing your business strategy. Always look for a complement. Try to remove the redundancy if possible. Warren Buffett says, hire smart people and get out of their way. I've come to learn that leadership is about inspiring leadership in others. And at the end of the day, the quicker you can identify people who are going to complement what you bring to the table, the more likely it is that you'll find yourself in the 10% of those that succeed. Setting goals and milestones is another area that I want you guys to realize successful entrepreneurs do on a regular basis. It's not a guessing game. They have the ability at any given point to know whether or not they're getting closer to or further from any goal or milestone they have for their business. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to think about your business. What are your goals and milestones? Honestly, the more specific you could be, the more related to a specific time frame you could be, the better. Maybe you don't have any goals or milestones. Maybe you're just, God forbid, trying to make payroll. That's not a goal, my friends. That sure as hell isn't a milestone either. The types of goals and milestones that I'm referring to are regarding year-over-year growth, month-over-month growth, hitting a new top-line revenue mark, maybe increasing your profit margins, your gross margin by minimizing some of the things in your business that are draining on your overall profitability. Goals and milestones are universal among successful entrepreneurs. Another one of my tips, and in video 10, in AMA video 10, I walked you guys through my mergers and acquisitions checklist. And one of the things that I mentioned in that is appropriate here when we talk about execution. Successful entrepreneurs are able to identify dead dogs. In other words, they're constantly on the lookout for underperforming or failure products or services in their business line. I know if you're a lifestyle business owner, I know if you're anything like me, you are an emotional leader, meaning you lead with a lot of passion. Here's the problem. You've got to remove the emotion from your profit and loss statements and all of your financial statements, because it'll make you a healthier company. Think about a boat. If you have a hole in the boat, you have a couple of options. You could repair the hole, or you could ignore it and allow it to get bigger and bigger until the entire boat goes down. So when it comes to building a successful business, identifying those things that aren't working out quite the way that you thought is critical. So constantly be on the lookout for dead dogs. Finally, for this part of the 4 or 5 part series, I want you guys to begin the process of redefining what fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being accepted means. For most of you, or for many of you, or if you were like me, fear has crept into your life in ways that has, quite honestly, sabotaged your ability to take action. You end up like a deer caught in headlights, unless you start to play with it. You play with your fears, which I talked about in my previous episode of Ask Me Anything. But the key takeaway here is, when you study some of the greatest, most successful entrepreneurs, you notice that they're okay with failure. Failure gives them an opportunity to move just a little bit in one direction or the other to get closer to where they're going. Another thing that you learn, especially in startup tech, is this idea of fail quick and move on. So the whole lean startup mindset that Eric Ries started many years ago, and lean analytics and anything lean manufacturing, a lot of that whole sort of paradigm is around not only failing quick, but failing a lot, looking for opportunities to identify things that aren't working. So again, that 5th tip for today's episode is embrace failure. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you in part 2 of this series. Thanks so much. Have an awesome day. Live it with passion.